Hello dear students, welcome back in class 9th chemistry. Students, I hope that you all are hale and hearty. Well, today we will continue chapter 4, Structure of the Atom, part 2. In part 2 of this chapter, we will learn in detail about Rutherford's model of an atom, Rutherford's alpha particles scattering experiment by Goldfoyle, Rutherford's nuclear model of an atom, drawback of Rutherford's model of an atom, Bohr's model of an atom, properties of neutron, comparison among properties of protons, electrons and neutrons, comparison among J.J. Thomson's model of an atom, Rutherford's model of an atom, and Bohr's model of an atom. Students, in the previous lecture, we have discussed about Thomson's model of an atom. In this model, he proposed that an atom consists of a positively charged sphere and the negatively charged electrons are embedded in it. The negative and positive charges are equal in magnitude that balance each other and make an atom as a whole electrically neutral. But this model could not explain the results of alpha scattering experiments of Rutherford. He did not reveal the exact position of positive and negative charges in an atom, so this model was rejected. Then a famous British physicist, Ernest Rutherford, gave his major contribution in knowing the relative position of negatively charged electrons and positively charged protons within an atom. He performed the famous alpha scattering experiment in the year 1911. For his experiment, he selected a thin foil of a heavy gold metal. Now the question arises, why did he select a gold foil, not any other metal? Well, he wanted as thin layer of a metal as possible. Gold metal is the most malleable metal. It can be drawn into a thin sheet, so he selected a thin gold foil for his experiment, as it was about 1000 atoms thick only. In his experiment, he bombarded this thin gold foil with fast moving alpha particles. Now let us see what are alpha particles. Alpha particles are doubly charged helium ions. You can see one helium ion carries a charge of +2 units, which is twice the charge on a proton. Means a proton carries +1 unit charge. One helium atom contains 2 protons, hence it carries charge of 2 units. Each alpha particle is denoted by this symbol. Each helium or alpha particle carries a mass of 4 units, that is 4 times the mass of a proton. What is the source of these positively charged alpha particles which were made to fall on a thin gold foil? These positively charged alpha particles were emitted by a radioactive element like radium placed in this lead box. Now let us see what were the expectations of Rutherford from his experiment. Rutherford was aware of Thomson's model of an atom, so he thought that the positively charged alpha particles are much heavier and most of the alpha particles would pass straight through the thin gold foil. He expected only a small fraction of alpha particles would be deflected, but he did not expect large deflections. The alpha particle scattering experiment gave totally unexpected results. When these alpha particles, positively charged alpha particles, were made to strike against the gold foil, to his surprise, these positively charged particles got scattered and produced bright flashes of light on a circular screen coated with zinc sulfide. Let us see what were the observations made by Rutherford in his experiment. He observed most of the fast moving alpha particles pass straight through the gold foil. He also observed that some of the alpha particles were deflected from their path. You can see from these arrows, they are deflected from their path by making some angles. Some of the alpha particles were deflected by the foil by small angles. Very few alpha particles were deflected by large angles. Surprisingly, 1 out of every 12,000 particles appeared to rebound by making an angle of 180 degree. You can see from the direction of these arrows represents the direction of the movement of positively charged alpha particles. Most of them moved straight through these atoms of gold, and some of alpha particles were deflected from their path as shown by this arrow or this arrow by making small angles or large angles. And 1 out of about 12,000 particles appear to rebound. Now let us see what did he conclude from these observations. So let us see the conclusions made by Rutherford in his alpha particle scattering experiment. He observed that most of the alpha particles pass straight through the gold foil without getting deflected. It means most of the space inside the atom of gold is empty. He also concluded that some alpha particles were deflected from their path. This means alpha particles, being positively charged particles, were deflected or repelled by something present in the center. It means that obstruction which repelled these alpha particles also carried some charge, and that is positive charge. We know that positive charges repel each other. Alpha particles, being positively charged, were repelled by something positively charged present in the center of this atom. That time only protons and electrons were discovered. So Rutherford concluded that all the protons present in the atom are present in the center. He also observed that a very small fraction of alpha particles, positively charged alpha particles, were deflected by 180 degree, indicating that all the positive charge and the mass of the gold atom were concentrated in a very small volume within the atom. He called this positively charged center of an atom as nucleus. So from the observations and conclusions he drawn from the experiment, he calculated the radius of this nucleus is about 10 raised to power 5 times less than the radius of the atom. In this way, he concluded that the positively charged nucleus is present in the center of the atom in which protons are present. So Rutherford calculated the radius of the nucleus, which is about 10 raised to power 5 times lesser than the radius of the atom. On the basis of his experiment, Rutherford put forward nuclear model of an atom. The main features of Rutherford's nuclear model of an atom are: there is a positively charged center in an atom called the nucleus. Nearly all the mass of an atom resides in the nucleus. Means the electrons have negligible mass. So mass of the atom is mainly due to protons, and protons must be present in the nucleus. As the protons have positive charge, so nucleus also has positive charge. According to this model, electrons revolve around the nucleus in the circular paths. The size of the nucleus is very small as compared to the size of the atom. Now let us see the drawbacks or limitations of Rutherford's model of an atom. Students, this is important question and it is asked in the exercise part of this chapter as question number 3 on page number 54. Rutherford's nuclear model of an atom could not explain the stability of an atom, because according to his model, an atom consists of a small, heavy positively charged nucleus in the center and negatively charged electrons revolve around it. The revolution of electrons in a circular orbit is not expected to be stable. Students, any particle in the circular orbit would undergo acceleration, and during acceleration, the charged particles would radiate energy. So the revolving electrons, the electrons that are revolving around the nucleus, could also lose energy, and after losing their energy, they could finally fall into the nucleus. If this were so, the atom should be highly unstable. But we know that atom is quite stable. But Rutherford could not give the suitable explanation of the stability of an atom. He could not explain that after losing energy by the electrons, why do electrons not fall into the nucleus? So this is the major drawback of Rutherford's model of an atom, that he could not explain the stability of an atom. Now let us see one more question which is asked in this chapter as a blueprint question on page 49. What do you think would be the observation if the alpha particle scattering experiment is carried out using a foil of a metal other than gold? Students, if the experiment is carried out by using a foil of some other metal which may be heavier, then the results would not have been such, as most of the alpha particles will be deflected back by the heavier metal. If the foil of light metal is used, then again the observations would not be same, as the massive alpha particles, means heavier positively charged alpha particles, may push the nucleus aside and pass through with slight deviations only. And if the foil of metal is as thin as gold, like silver and platinum were used, then similar results would be obtained as obtained by Rutherford in his experiment. Students, in order to overcome the objections raised against Rutherford's model of an atom, Niels Bohr put forward some postulates about the model of an atom. In 1913, Niels Bohr gave a theory regarding the distribution of electrons in extra-nuclear space in an atom. Let us see the main postulates of Bohr's model of an atom. Again, this is an important question asked in the exercise part of this chapter as question number 4 on page number 54. According to Bohr's model of an atom, only certain special orbits known as discrete orbits of electrons are allowed inside the atom. The electrons revolve in these well-defined circular paths are known as orbits. While revolving in these discrete orbits, the electrons do not radiate any energy. These orbits or shells in which electrons are revolving around the nucleus are called energy levels, and they are represented by English alphabets K, L, M, N and so on. And if they are numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as shown in this figure. So students, let us see one question based on Bohr's model of an atom, that draw a sketch of Bohr's model of an atom with 3 shells only. And this question is given as a blueprint question in this chapter on page number 49. So you have to draw one nucleus in the center, and around the nucleus you have to draw one K shell, second L shell and third M shell. So you have to draw only 3 shells around this nucleus. Now let us study about another important subatomic particle present in an atom, that is neutrons. In 1932, James Chadwick discovered another subatomic particle which had no charge, but its mass is nearly equal to that of proton. It was named as neutron. Mass of the neutron is equal to mass of protons, that is equal to 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 27 kilogram, or we can write its relative mass as the relative mass of proton is 1 unit. So the mass of neutron is also 1 unit. Where are these neutrons present? Neutrons are present along with protons in the nucleus of all atoms except hydrogen atom, as hydrogen atom has 1 proton and 1 electron only. It does not have any neutron, but all other atoms have neutrons along with protons present in the nucleus of their atoms. Neutron is represented as letter small n. The protons and neutrons present in the nucleus of an atom together are known as nucleons. So question can be asked, what are nucleons? Where are they located? So nucleons are the protons and neutrons together present in the nucleus of an atom are known as nucleons. These are present in the nucleus of an atom. The mass of an atom is given by the sum of masses of protons and neutrons present in the nucleus. Because electrons which revolve around this nucleus have negligible mass, so the mass of the atom is given by the sum of the masses of protons and neutrons present in the nucleus of an atom. For example, helium atom contains 2 protons and 2 neutrons in its nucleus. So atomic mass of helium atom is equal to sum of masses of 2 protons and 2 neutrons. Mass of 2 protons is 2u and mass of 2 neutrons is also 2u, because mass of neutron is equal to mass of protons. So on adding 2u plus 2u, it comes out to be 4u. So atomic mass of helium atom is equal to 4u. So students, an atom contains 3 subatomic particles in it: negatively charged electrons, positively charged protons, and neutrons carry no charge. Protons and neutrons are present in the nucleus, as protons are positively charged and neutrons carry no charge, so charge on the nucleus is positive. The negatively charged electrons are present in the extra nuclear space of the atom, that they revolve around the nucleus in the definite orbits or energy shells. Now students, let us see the major difference among the properties of protons, electrons and neutrons. On the basis of symbol, a proton is represented by small p plus, electron small e negative, neutron small letter n. On the basis of discoverer, protons were discovered by E. Goldstein, electrons were discovered by J.J. Thomson, neutrons were discovered by James Chadwick. On the basis of electrical nature, protons are positively charged particles, electrons are negatively charged particles, and neutrons are neutral, means they carry no charge. On the basis of absolute charge, a proton carries plus 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb. An electron carries minus 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb. And neutrons carry no charge. So, their charge is 0. On the basis of relative charge, a proton carries a unit charge, that is plus 1. Electron carries a unit charge, that is minus 1. And neutrons carry no charge, so their charge is 0. On the basis of absolute mass, the mass of a proton is 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 27 kilogram. Mass of an electron is 9.11 into 10 raised to power minus 31 kilogram. Mass of a neutron is nearly equal to mass of a proton. So, mass of neutron can also be taken as 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 27 kilogram. On the basis of relative mass, the mass of proton is 1 unit, or it is 1840 times or approximately 2000 times the mass of an electron. The mass of electron is negligible, and if it is compared with mass of proton, it comes out to be 1 upon 1840 times or approximately 1 upon 2000 times the mass of a proton. Mass of neutron is equal to mass of protons, so relative mass of neutron is 1 unit. On the basis of their location in an atom, protons are located in the nucleus, electrons are located in the extra nuclear space, that is around the nucleus in the orbits, and neutrons are present in the nucleus along with protons. So these are the major difference among the properties of protons, electrons and neutrons. Now students, let us see the comparison among J.J. Thomson's model of an atom, Rutherford's model of an atom and Bohr's model of an atom. J.J. Thomson's model of an atom consists of positively charged sphere and negatively charged electrons are embedded in it. The positive and negative charges are equal in magnitude, hence the atom as a whole is electrically neutral. The limitation of this model was that this model failed to explain the observations of Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment. In Rutherford's model of an atom consists of positively charged center called nucleus. Nearly all the mass of an atom resides in the nucleus. The electrons revolve around the nucleus in circular orbits. The size of the nucleus is very small relative to size of the atom. The limitation of Rutherford's model of an atom that this model could not explain the stability of an atom. Niels Bohr model of an atom consists of positively charged nucleus at its center. Electrons revolve only in certain special orbits called discrete orbits. While revolving in discrete orbits, the electrons do not radiate energy. These orbits or shells are called energy levels and represented by the letters K, L, M, N and so on, or by numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. The advantage of this model was that it successfully explains the stability of an atom. So students, this is all about today's lecture. I hope that you have understood the Rutherford model of an atom, its drawback, Niels Bohr model of an atom, and properties of neutrons, and comparison between the three subatomic particles that are protons, electrons, neutrons present in an atom, and lastly the comparison among the three models of an atom given by J.J. Thomson, Rutherford and Niels Bohr. Students, if you find any difficulty in understanding any part of this lecture, do ask me telephonically or through WhatsApp. Thank you for watching this video. Stay safe, stay healthy.